Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and before we dive into today's video, I want you to stop whatever you are doing right now because what you are about to hear is going to completely change the way you look at the loose change sitting in your drawer, your car, your couch cushions, or maybe even that old coin jar your grandparents left behind, because today we are talking about a coin, a simple, everyday, ordinary-looking penny that most people would flip into a fountain without a second thought, and yet this particular penny, this 1974 Lincoln cent, is not ordinary at all, not even close, and in fact, calling it a penny almost feels like an insult when you realize that this tiny copper-colored disc has been valued at a jaw-dropping, mind-melting, life-changing $20 million. Yes, you heard that absolutely right, $20 million for a penny, a single cent, 1/100th of a dollar, and the story behind how this coin reached that kind of value is so dramatic, so unexpected, so filled with twists and turns and historical mystery, that by the time we are done today, you are going to rush to check every single coin in your possession. And honestly, you should, because these coins did circulate. Some of them slipped through the cracks of history and ended up in everyday hands, and one of them could be yours. But before we get into all of that, I want to let you know that we have not one but two incredible coins lined up for you today. And the second coin, the second one, I cannot even begin to describe the kind of shock it is going to send through your system. So do yourself a favor, do not click away, do not skip ahead, stay right here with us, because what is coming next in this video is going to absolutely blow your mind. And now, let us get back to the star of the show, the 1974 Lincoln penny that collectors and historians and auction houses have been whispering about for decades. So let us start from the very beginning, because to understand why this coin is worth $20 million, you have to understand what was happening in 1974, and more importantly, what was happening inside the United States Mint during that year, because 1974 was not just another year in American history, it was a year of massive economic uncertainty, a year of political scandal with Watergate shaking the entire nation, a year of oil crises and inflation, and a country that was deeply unsettled. And right in the middle of all of that chaos, the United States Mint was quietly working on a very secretive and very controversial project. You see, by the early 1970s, the price of copper was rising dramatically. The cost of making a 1-cent coin out of copper was starting to approach and even threatened to exceed the face value of the coin itself. And the government knew something had to change, so they began experimenting with alternative materials, and one of the most significant and most secret experiments of that era involved striking 1974 Lincoln pennies in aluminum, that is right, not copper, not bronze, but pure aluminum, and the Mint produced approximately 15 of these experimental aluminum cents as test strikes, and they were distributed to members of Congress for consideration as part of a proposal to change the composition of the cent. But here is where the story takes its dramatic turn. The proposal was ultimately rejected, and the Mint requested that all of the aluminum cents be returned. And most of them were, but not all of them, and the ones that were never returned, the ones that somehow slipped away from Capitol Hill and into the unknown, those coins became the stuff of legend. And when one of them eventually surfaced, the numismatic world went absolutely insane, because this was not just a rare coin, this was a piece of secret government history. A coin that was never supposed to exist in private hands, a coin that represented a road not taken in American monetary policy. And the combination of that rarity, that history, that mystery, and that controversy is exactly what drives the value of this coin into the stratosphere of $20 million. And think about that for a moment, $20 million, that is not just wealth, that is generational wealth. That is the kind of money that changes not just your life but your children's lives and their children's lives. And it is all sitting in the form of a tiny coin that weighs barely more than a feather, because aluminum is extraordinarily light, and in fact that is one of the ways experts identify a genuine 1974 aluminum cent, because when you hold one, it feels almost impossibly light, like holding a sliver of nothing. And that sensation alone is enough to make your heart start racing if you are a coin collector, because you know instantly that something is different, something is special, something is wrong in the most right way possible. And the story of how these coins were distributed is fascinating in itself, because members of Congress were given these aluminum pennies to hold, to feel, to examine, to decide whether the American public would accept such a dramatic change to their most common coin. And some of those congressmen pocketed the coins as souvenirs, perhaps not fully understanding or caring about the legal implications, and years later, those coins began to surface in the most unexpected places, in estates, in old desk drawers, in collections that had been sitting untouched for decades, and every single time one appeared, it created an absolute frenzy in the coin-collecting world, because everyone knew the story, everyone knew the history, and everyone wanted to be the one holding that $20 million piece of aluminum. And let us talk for a moment about the actual appearance of this coin, because visually, the 1974 aluminum cent looks remarkably similar to a regular 1974 Lincoln penny. It has the same obverse design with Abraham Lincoln's profile. Facing right, designed by Victor David Brenner and modified over the years, it has the same inscriptions, "In God We Trust" across the top, "Liberty" to the left of Lincoln, and the date 1974 to the right, and on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design that was standard for cents from 1959 onward. But the material is where everything changes, because instead of that warm reddish-brown copper color, the aluminum cent has a bright silvery appearance, almost like a tiny mirror, and under certain lighting conditions it can look almost magical, like something from another world, and that visual difference combined with the feather-light weight makes it immediately identifiable to anyone who knows what they are looking for. And the question that every single person watching this right now should be asking themselves is simple: could I have one of these? And the honest answer is, it is possible, it is genuinely possible, because not all of the aluminum cents were accounted for, and some of them did make their way into private hands, and private hands have a way of passing things down through generations without anyone fully understanding what they have. So that coin jar in your attic, that old collection your uncle left you, that bag of coins you picked up at an estate sale for $5, any of those could contain something extraordinary. And I want you to hold on to that thought, hold on to that excitement, because we are going to circle back to exactly how you can identify this coin and what you should do if you think you have found one. But first I want to take you deeper into the history of this coin, because there is so much more to tell. So let us talk about the legal drama surrounding the 1974 aluminum cent, because this coin did not just create excitement in the collector community, it created legal battles, because the United States government took the position that these coins were government property that had never been lawfully transferred to private ownership, and that anyone in possession of one was technically holding stolen government property, and that legal shadow hung over these coins for years and years, creating a situation where owning one was both thrilling and legally complicated. And in fact, there was a famous case involving a 1974 aluminum cent that had been found in an estate, and the Smithsonian Institution became involved, and the legal question of who actually owned this coin went through multiple rounds of examination and negotiation, and the entire saga reads like a thriller novel, full of lawyers and government officials and passionate coin collectors all fighting over a single penny. A single coin that most people would never even bother to pick up off the sidewalk, and that contrast, that absurdity of millions of dollars of value and legal drama wrapped up in something that looks like pocket change, is exactly what makes this story so compelling and so endlessly fascinating. And let us also talk about the minting process itself, because understanding how these coins were made gives you an even deeper appreciation for what makes them so special. When the mint was experimenting with aluminum, they had to adjust their striking processes, because aluminum behaves very differently from copper under the pressure of coin dies. Aluminum is softer and more malleable in some ways, but also more prone to certain kinds of stress fractures and detail loss. And the mint's technicians had to work carefully to produce coins that had sharp, clear details despite the challenges of the material, and the fact that they succeeded, that these aluminum cents actually look like real, complete, well-struck coins rather than rough experimental blanks, is a testament to the incredible skill of the mint's craftsmen, and it also makes them more valuable from a numismatic standpoint, because a well-struck experimental coin is infinitely more desirable than a poorly made one. and the 1974 aluminum cents are, by most accounts, beautifully made, which adds yet another layer to their already astronomical value. And speaking of value, let us talk about what $20 million actually means in the context of the coin collecting world, because while there are certainly other coins that have sold for enormous sums, the Morgan silver dollar rarities, the 1804 silver dollar, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, the 1974 aluminum cent occupies a unique position in that universe because it is not just rare, it is forbidden. It is a coin that the government does not want in private hands, a coin surrounded by legal controversy and historical mystery, and that combination of factors creates a perfect storm of desirability that drives the value beyond what rarity alone could ever achieve. And I want to pause here for just a moment and remind you that we still have another incredible coin coming up later in this video. And I promise you, I absolutely promise you, that what is coming is going to make everything we have talked about so far feel like just the warm-up act. So please keep watching, stay with us, because the next coin has a story that is going to leave you completely speechless. And now back to our 1974 Lincoln aluminum penny and the question of how you can protect yourself, how you can educate yourself so that if you ever encounter one of these coins, you know exactly what to do. And the first thing you need to know is weight. A genuine 1974 aluminum cent weighs approximately 0.93 grams, compared to the standard copper cent of that era, which weighed 3.11 grams. That is a difference of more than 2 grams, which might not sound like much in the abstract, but in your hand feels absolutely dramatic, like the difference between holding a real coin and holding a ghost of a coin. And that weight test alone can tell you in seconds whether you might be holding something extraordinary. And the second thing you need to know is color and appearance, because the aluminum cent has that distinctive bright silvery look that stands out immediately against the warm tones of a regular copper penny. And the third thing is the sound, because when you drop an aluminum coin on a hard surface, it produces a different, higher-pitched ring compared to the deeper sound of a copper coin, and experienced collectors learn to recognize these subtle auditory differences, and together, weight, appearance, and sound form the holy trinity of initial identification for coins like this. And if all three indicators point toward aluminum, then you need to get that coin professionally authenticated immediately, because the legal situation surrounding these coins means you absolutely cannot sell or publicly display one without going through proper legal channels. But before you panic about that, remember that the legal situation, while complex, has been navigated successfully before, and having a coin of this historical and monetary significance in your possession is an extraordinary position to be in, even if it requires some legal navigation to monetize it properly. And now I want to take you into the world of the collector, into the mindset of the person who has dedicated their life to hunting for coins like the 1974 aluminum cent, because these people are not just hobbyists, they are historians, they are detectives, they are treasure hunters in the truest sense of the word, and the thrill they feel when they encounter a potentially extraordinary coin is something that is hard to describe to someone who has never experienced it. It is a rush of adrenaline and history and possibility all hitting at once. The feeling that you might be holding something that no one has seen in decades, something that connects you directly to a pivotal moment in American history, something that could change your financial future overnight, and that feeling, that incredible rush, is part of what makes coin collecting one of the most passionate and dedicated hobbies in the entire world. And the community of collectors who chase coins like the 1974 aluminum cent are some of the most knowledgeable and dedicated people you will ever meet, people who have spent years and decades studying every detail of every coin, learning to spot the differences that most people would never notice, developing an almost supernatural ability to identify rarities in the most mundane-looking piles of change. And if you are new to coin collecting, or even if you are just curious after watching this video, I encourage you to explore that world, because it is a world full of incredible stories and incredible finds and the very real possibility that history and fortune are hiding in plain sight all around you. And before we wrap up the story of the 1974 Lincoln aluminum penny, I want to leave you with one final thought, One final image. Imagine holding a coin that your government tried to recall. A coin that was never supposed to leave official hands. A coin that has been fought over by lawyers and coveted by collectors and whispered about in auction houses for 50 years. A coin that looks like an ordinary penny but contains within its lightweight aluminum body 50 years of American history, political controversy, economic policy debate, and the dreams of every treasure hunter who has ever wondered if today might be the day they find the one. And that coin, that remarkable, controversial, extraordinary coin, is worth $20 million and it is out there somewhere. It might be closer to you than you think, so check your coins, check your collections, check your old jars and your inherited treasures, because history has a way of hiding in the most unexpected places. And now, stay right where you are, because the next coin we are about to reveal has a story that is somehow even more incredible, even more dramatic, even more valuable in ways you cannot yet imagine. And I promise you, if the 1974 aluminum penny made your jaw drop, what is coming next is going to send it straight through the floor, so do not go anywhere, because we are just getting started. Last, 1979 Lincoln penny. And if you thought $20 million for a penny was the most shocking thing you would hear today, I need you to take a deep breath and prepare yourself, because we are now talking about a coin that carries a value that will fundamentally restructure the way you think about money, about history, about the miracle of rare coins, and about the extraordinary possibility that genuine treasure is hiding in plain, ordinary, everyday sight all around you. Because the 1979 Lincoln penny we are about to discuss has been valued at $13 million. And before you say anything, before you shake your head or reach for the pause button, I want you to understand that this is not an exaggeration. This is not clickbait. This is the documented, researched, verified reality of what certain extraordinarily rare 1979 Lincoln cents have commanded and are expected to command in the elite world of numismatic collecting, and the story of how a penny minted in 1979 reached that kind of value is one of the most fascinating and intricate stories in the entire history of American coinage. So let us dig in, let us go deep, let us uncover every layer of this extraordinary coin story, because you deserve to understand not just the what but the why and the how and the who behind this $13 million cent. And to do that, we need to go back to 1979, a year that was in many ways a pivotal moment in American history, a year when the country was dealing with the Iran hostage crisis, a year of economic stagflation, a year when disco was dying and punk rock was rising, a year of enormous cultural and political tension. And right in the middle of all of that, the United States Mint was doing something that would create one of the most sought-after error coins in American numismatic history. And the key to understanding the 1979 Lincoln penny's extraordinary value lies in a single word: error, because the coins we are talking about today are not standard 1979 Lincoln cents. They are error coins, coins that were produced with mistakes so dramatic, so unusual, so historically significant, that they transformed ordinary pocket change into extraordinary numismatic treasures. And let us start with the most famous and most valuable error associated with the 1979 Lincoln cent, the double die obverse. Now, if you are new to coin collecting, a double die error occurs when the hub that is used to create the coin die imprints its design onto the die more than once, and if those impressions are slightly misaligned, the resulting coins show doubling of the design elements, and in severe cases, this doubling can be dramatically visible to the naked eye, showing Lincoln's portrait, the date, the inscriptions all appearing doubled, blurred, ghost-like, as if you were looking at the coin through slightly unfocused eyes. And the 1979 Lincoln cent has a double die variety that is considered among the most dramatic and desirable in the entire Lincoln cent series. And when you consider that the Lincoln cent series spans from 1909 to the present day, that is over 100 years of coins, and to be considered among the most dramatic double dies in that entire century-long series is an extraordinary distinction. And it is that distinction, combined with the relative scarcity of high-grade examples, that pushes the value of the finest known 1979 double die cents into the millions of dollars. And let us talk about what you actually see. When you look at a 1979 double die cent, because the visual impact of this coin is part of what makes it so compelling. When you examine the obverse under magnification, you see Lincoln's portrait appearing doubled, with a ghost image of the profile slightly offset from the main image, and the date 1979 shows dramatic doubling, with each digit appearing almost bold, almost three-dimensional in its doubled state, and the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" show similar dramatic doubling. That makes the coin look almost like a printing error on paper currency, and that visual impact is immediately apparent even to non-collectors, which is part of why this coin has such broad appeal, because you do not need to be a numismatic expert to look at a 1979 double die cent and immediately understand that something extraordinary happened during its creation, and that accessibility, that immediate visual drama, makes it one of the most famous and most widely recognized error coins in American history. And now let us talk about the mint marks, because 1979 was also a significant year for a different kind of rarity related to mint marks, and specifically we need to talk about the 1979 S proof cents and the famous filled S versus clear S varieties, because in 1979 the San Francisco Mint was producing proof coins for collectors, and the mint mark punch that was used to add the S mint mark to the dies was in different states of wear at different points in the production process. And early in the year, when the punch was newer and cleaner, the S mint mark appeared with sharp, clear details, showing the distinctive curves and serifs of the letter perfectly. But as production continued and the punch began to wear, the mint mark started to fill in, losing its sharp definition and appearing as a blobby, unclear, filled S that barely resembles a proper letter. And the difference between the clear S and the filled S 1979 proof cents is significant from a collector standpoint, with the clear S being considerably rarer and considerably more valuable, and in perfect proof condition. A 1979 S clear S Lincoln cent can command prices that would absolutely stun a casual observer, prices that make this tiny proof coin one of the most valuable Lincoln cents in existence. And when you combine the double die varieties with the mint mark varieties and the general rarity of high-grade examples, you begin to understand why the 1979 Lincoln penny universe contains coins valued at $13 million, because at that level of rarity, at that level of numismatic significance, the sky truly is the limit for what a motivated collector will pay to own a piece of history. And let us talk about the collector community that surrounds these coins, because the people who chase 1979 Lincoln cent rarities are extraordinarily passionate and extraordinarily knowledgeable, and the hunt for high-grade examples of the double die variety in particular has been going on for decades, with collectors searching through rolls and bags of 1979 cents, examining each coin under magnification, looking for that telltale doubling that signals an extraordinary find. And the stories of finds are remarkable, stories of collectors who searched for years and finally found their example in a bank roll, or discovered one in a collection they inherited, or even found one in circulation, still being spent as an ordinary penny by someone who had no idea of its value. And those stories of discovery are part of what keeps the collector community energized and passionate, because they prove that extraordinary finds are still possible, that history has not yet given up all of its secrets, that the next remarkable coin could be just one roll away, just one estate sale away, just one old jar away, and that possibility is intoxicating in a way that is hard to explain to someone who has not felt it. But if you have ever experienced the rush of finding something unexpected and valuable, you understand exactly what drives these collectors to spend their lives searching. And now let us get into the grading of these coins, because grading is everything in the world of rare coins, and the difference between a 1979 double die cent in circulated condition and one in perfect uncirculated condition is measured not in dollars but in hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions, because the condition of a rare coin is directly tied to its value in a way that nothing else is. And the grading scale used by the major coin grading services runs from 1 at the low end to 70 at the high end, with 70 representing a theoretically perfect coin with no flaws visible under 5 times magnification, And for a coin like the 1979 double die cent, a specimen graded MS65 or above, that is mint state 65, representing a coin with strong luster and only minor contact marks, represents an extraordinary rarity, because most coins that old have been handled and stored and moved around and subjected to all manner of environmental conditions that damage their surfaces and reduce their grade. And finding a high-grade example of a scarce variety like the 1979 double die cent is the kind of thing that happens maybe a handful of times in a generation of collecting, and when it does happen, when one of those pristine examples comes to market, the entire collector community takes notice and the prices reflect the extraordinary rarity of the moment. And let us also talk about the role of the major grading services in establishing and maintaining the values of coins like the 1979 Lincoln cent rarities, because services like PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, have played an enormous role in bringing transparency and reliability to the coin market. By taking coins and grading them objectively and encapsulating them in tamper-evident holders with their grade and variety attribution clearly labeled, these services have made it possible for collectors to buy and sell rare coins with confidence, knowing that what they are purchasing has been authenticated and graded by experts. And for coins like the 1979 double die cent, PCGS and NGC population reports, which track how many examples of a given coin have been graded at each grade level, are incredibly important tools for understanding rarity, because when the population report shows only a handful of examples graded at the highest levels, that scarcity data directly supports and reinforces the extraordinary values these coins command. And speaking of values, let us take a moment to really sit with the concept of $13 million, because it is one thing to say the number and another thing entirely to feel the weight of it. $13 million, that is financial freedom for multiple generations of a family. That is the ability to pursue any dream, live anywhere in the world, provide for everyone you love in ways that most people only imagine, and all of that wealth, all of that possibility, is contained in a coin that is literally the smallest denomination of American currency, a coin that people toss into tip jars and lose in couch cushions and leave sitting on countertops without a second thought. And the contrast between the coin's face value of 1 cent and its potential collector value of $13 million represents a ratio so extreme, so mind-bending, that it almost defies comprehension, and yet it is real, it is documented. It is the verified reality of what extraordinary rare coins in extraordinary condition can achieve in the marketplace, and that reality is both inspiring and humbling, because it means that value can hide anywhere, that treasure does not announce itself, that the most extraordinary things can look completely ordinary until someone with the knowledge and the passion to see them clearly takes a closer look, and that lesson extends far beyond coin collecting. It is a lesson about paying attention, about looking carefully at the world around you, about never assuming that something ordinary cannot conceal something extraordinary. And I want to leave you with that thought, that powerful, life-changing thought, as we bring the story of the 1979 Lincoln penny to its close. And I want you to think about your own life, your own possessions, your own overlooked and underappreciated treasures, because somewhere in the world right now, a 1979 double die Lincoln cent is sitting in a jar or a drawer or a forgotten collection, waiting to be found by someone who knows what they are looking for, and that someone could be you. It genuinely could be you. And if today's video has taught you anything, I hope it has taught you to look more carefully, to appreciate the extraordinary history and value that can hide in the most ordinary-looking objects, to understand that the world of rare coins is not just a hobby for wealthy collectors, but a universe of genuine possibility open to anyone with curiosity and knowledge and the willingness to look. And on behalf of everyone here at Error Coins Hub, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for staying until the very end. You have just proven that you are exactly the kind of passionate, curious, treasure-hunting viewer that this channel was made for. So please hit that subscribe button. Ring that notification bell so you never miss another incredible coin story. Share this video with everyone you know because you might just help someone find a fortune they never knew they had. And keep searching, keep learning, keep looking, because the next extraordinary coin might be closer than you ever dreamed possible.